Well, hello, everyone. It is Dr. Your favorite child and adolescent psychiatrist, ADHD expert, and all things related to mental health. That's what we do. We are here for Focus On It Friday. So come on in, bring a friend and come on in. My sister-in-law Erica is here. Hello, sis Erica. Thank you for coming, honey. You always show up and we appreciate you so much. Go ahead and share the video if you don't mind. Let some others know that they can come and get some of this knowledge that we have. Oh, guys, it was hard coming today. I said, I just want to lounge and check some of these boxes on my to-do list, and I said, oh no, not today. These people are waiting. I skipped out on them last week, but we are showing up today, so I am here. We are talking about ADHD and these college children, y'all. These college students, oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. I know you all are like, ooh, Dr. Brandy, you got those babies, you just out of diapers and you still teaching people how to tie shoes. But let me tell you, y'all in these college age people, y'all can have them with or without ADHD. That is a tough group to parent. Oh my goodness. They are so smart and they know everything. And oh my goodness, they don't know a whole lot. I said, oh my goodness, these kids need some help. That whole 20 to probably 30, to be honest, they need a lot of help. But we're going to not focus on all of the population of kids who are the grown children. That's what we're going to call them. We're just going to focus on those who are in school because they need a lot of help too, and we're going to talk about it. My sister-in-law says hello, my beautiful sister, right back at you. And my auntie Eva, she says hello, my beautiful niece. Hello to you, my beautiful auntie, all the way in, let's see, Philadelphia, y'all. She comes all the way from Philadelphia and catches me, and I appreciate her. I saw Dr. Laura Bearfield, my esteemed child and adolescent psychiatrist as well. Very, very smart. And my aunt, Miss Brenda Rudolph, is here. We've got Tammy Hathcock as well. I'm going to go ahead and get started, y'all, because I've got 10 things I want to share with you. I don't want to run out of time. You want to hear this. You want to share this with all of your friends because these are good tips, even if your child or the child in question does not have ADHD. But in particular, for those with ADHD, these are some things that I found. And so I want to share them with you. But first, I'm Dr. Brandy B., your triple board certified pediatrician, adult psychiatrist, and child and adolescent psychiatrist. And through my Facebook live stream right here where you are, Focus On It Friday, I help worried moms, dads, physicians. They come here to learn. Everybody comes here to learn. And even if you don't have a college student in your life or you don't even know what ADHD is, this is still a great place to be, just to have some fun and hang out and be with other people. So today we're going to talk about 10 things that you need to know about the college student and ADHD. The first thing I need you to know is that there is nothing magical in this country or any other about turning 18. What do I mean by that? Why do I mention this when I mention ADHD in the college student? It is because people think that adults don't have ADHD. And I want you to know that adults do have ADHD. And more now, adults are being diagnosed with ADHD for the first time ever. And also, there are many adults who are coming back to be treated after being away from treatment for 20 or 30 years. And so why is that? It is because the symptoms of ADHD go on, right? How many days a year do you have ADHD? As many days as there are in the year. How old is too old? I had someone actually who's on the call to ask me, is it too late? Am I too old to try to get treatment? Absolutely not. I mean, it's kind of like, at what age is it too late to start doing anything? Never. If you want to go back to school at 99 and you have the cognitive ability to do so, go back to school and finish your degree. But you will always have some symptoms of ADHD. So I want you all to hear that loud and clear. You will always have some symptoms of ADHD. You will, as you age, and your students and children as they age, will learn coping skills, will learn executive function skills and techniques that will help them to better cope with and manage the ADHD, but never does it go away. You don't grow out of it. You don't My internet. Okay, there we go. So you don't grow out of it. It's not like it just disappears because you turn 18. The only thing magical about 18 in the United States is that you can vote. And I encourage all of them to do that. But let me tell you even about something right there. So, funny but true story. So really kind of sad. My husband ran for judge a couple years back. And one of the ladies, because y'all know I shop a lot, so one of the ladies at the store, she's like, oh my goodness, we're so excited. We're going to support him. I'm like, yay. She says to her daughter, who's obviously 18 if she can vote, hey, this is what we're going to do. Her daughter tells her, no, mama, I don't need your help. I got it. So when her daughter comes home from voting, she says, well, did you vote for Dr. Brandy's husband? She said, he wasn't on my ballot. The mother said, well, who were some of the people on your ballot? Because he was on my ballot. And the girl started naming people that were on her ballot. Turns out she went in, was not paying attention. She got the wrong party. She voted a complete ballot in the wrong party. Did not want any help though, right? This child is known to have some challenges, but did not want any help, right? So 18 years old, out here living life, graduated, going on to big things, but still not paying attention to details, which is a key factor of ADHD. So there's nothing magical about 18 when it comes to ADHD, except that your students, your children, will still need it. So that's the first thing I want you to know. Number two, help them, right? So as I just said, this child didn't want help, but she needed it. And you will find that you are going to have to help them. One of the first things I want you to do with the child who has ADHD and is going to college, it's too late now for this semester, but next semester, I want you to help them with that schedule. So often, I see children with ADHD for the first time going to college talking about, I've got 17 and 18 hours. Are you kidding me? I'm not really sure that there were many semesters ever that I had 17 or 18 hours, because that's a lot. Okay, so for the people who have never gone to college, what does that mean? That means that you spend 18 hours a week in class, right? So a 3-hour class means that you spend 3 hours per week in class. It may be 1.5 hours for 2 days a week, or it may be 1 hour for 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 1 hour, or Tuesday, Thursday for 1.5 hours. Either way, you're in class for 3 hours a week. So there are certain recommendations, and I don't remember what they are exactly, but I think maybe for every hour that you're in class, you should be studying 1 to 2 hours. So if you just take a 3-hour class, you're in class 3 hours, and if you're studying, 1 to 2 hours, you should be studying another 6 hours. Well, if you're in class 17 hours, that's roughly 34 hours that you need to find outside of class to study. Now, in addition, you're in college. We're not silly. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to party. And so you have to study as well. Keep in mind that a key feature of ADHD is an inability to have executive functioning skills about planning. Okay, I need to do this for this many hours. I need to do this for this many hours. And then organizing, prioritizing. I need to study, sleep, shower, and then go to a party. Because saying that I'm going to study, sleep, shower, exercise, party, and then come back and study is not going to happen. So if you can keep them at whatever full time is, which is typically going to be about 12 hours. That's the minimum you have to take in most instances, unless you risk some academic probation or something else. But you want to help them with that, and strongly discourage a child that has never done 100% well in school, or even if they have, right? You want to discourage them from going and taking the maximum amount of credit hours that can be allowed, just because it is going to be a lot of work. So you got to help them with the hours. The next thing I want you to know about ADHD is that tutoring is great. Got a phone call from another physician about this physician's child freshmen off in school, saying they're very anxious. They want to know, should they get their child a tutor? And the answer is going to be yes. I understand that in some Asian countries, and others probably as well, tutoring is done before there is trouble. Tutoring is to stay ahead, to stay on top of. In America, we look at tutoring like you didn't get it, so let's go get some help for you to get it. In other places, they look at tutoring as, let's do this so you stay ahead. But I want you to know about tutoring, that oftentimes with ADHD, it is not the lack of understanding that is the problem. It is the lack of the ability to focus. And focus encompasses or includes staying on track, staying organized, making a schedule, figuring out how long to do a certain thing, prioritizing. If I have a test in chemistry tomorrow, but I don't even go back to calculus until 5 days from now, yeah, I need to do the calculus assignment, but it's not due for 5 days. I have a chemistry test tomorrow. That's what I need to be studying. So stuff like that, because again, these kids are going to go the path of least resistance. So even though they may have a chemistry test tomorrow, if they don't like chemistry, but calculus is their thing, they're going to come in and do that calculus assignment because it's easier for them. And they're going to forego, put to the side, not do immediately the chemistry test, even though it's the next day. So tutoring will not necessarily help them with that. Tutoring might say, this is what this element stands for and what it does and how much it weighs and all of that stuff. But the tutor will not necessarily say, do this first, then do this, okay? Now, the other thing that I want you to know is that, number 4, therapy helps with the executive functioning. Therapy. So if you are getting your child a therapist, you don't want just any type of therapist, right? You want someone who understands executive functioning and can help with that, the prioritizing, the organizing, and the like. All right. Ms. Leah, Dr. Leah says, imagine being in college for 3.5 years and not finding out that you have ADHD until your last semester of your senior year. Absolutely. It happens all the time. So this person here found out 3.5 years into school. Some people don't find out until they're 45. All right. And so they dropped out at 3.5 years. I've had people who've dropped out at 3.5 years. As a matter of fact, I saw someone last week who did 3 years of college and dropped out. And now this person is trying to figure out what they need to do to get back on track and get back in school. So that happens all the time. That happens all the time. I still graduated with honors though. Whoop, whoop. But it probably was a challenge though, nonetheless. Hello, everyone. Miss Stashi Glover. I hope I said that right. All right. So we're talking about tips for parents who are dealing with children, college students who have ADHD. Number 1, ADHD knows no age boundary. So definitely it happens in adults. Number 2, help your kids make their schedule, right? Too late for that for this semester, but for sure, do not let them tell you they're taking 17 hours next semester. And do not discount, take for granted, think they're going to be easy, these, non-science, non-math classes. Because if you don't like basket weaving, that could end up being one of your more difficult classes. So, because they may expect you to make a basket. So do not take that for granted. Number 3, tutoring is good, but keep in mind that oftentimes children and adults who have ADHD don't necessarily have a cognitive disorder, which means that they can learn. They're having problems processing it, either with the speed or just getting organized and or able to be able to study. All right. The next thing I want you to know is number 4. Therapy can help with executive functioning, but you want to make sure that the therapist that you're going to get for your student is one who understands executive functioning. So you don't want anybody who's trying to do cognitive behavioral therapy to hypnotize them into understanding stuff. Now, there may be somebody out there that says, well, hypnotizing worked for me and my ADHD. And if it worked for you and yours, then great job. But for everybody else, executive functioning skill development can be very, very beneficial. Number 5, every college campus has an office for disability services. They may call it something different, but disabilities is probably in the name. Why is that? It's because ADHD, we know that it can be disabling as well as debilitating. And so, if your student needs help either understanding, so with the tutoring services, they may be able to help with that. But they also may be able to do, it's not called an IEP in high school, like they may have had in high school. But they may be able to get extended time on tests. They may be able to request certain testing environments to ensure that it's quiet and has minimal distractions. So definitely check in with the disability services. This is likely going to require something from their doctor to say, yes, this child has this diagnosis. This is when I tested them. These are the criteria that they met and how I actually tested them. And so you definitely want to check in with the disability services to make sure that your child is getting whatever it is that they need. All right. Then let's see what else we got. Number 6. I want you to keep in mind that, let's see, Miss Sabrina, she says, we are absolutely struggling to get the IEP ball rolling for my kindergartner. It may be a little bit challenging for a kindergartner. You want to tell me a little bit more about where you are and, what kind of things you're searching for? That might help you a little bit better. But definitely in school. So like I said, in college, it's not called an IEP, but there are services. And I have students, oh my goodness, in several states, at private schools, at public state schools, and all in between. And they are getting these services. And to be honest, it's not very hard to do. So it's probably definitely harder to get up for your kindergartner than it is for your college student. So please check into that. All right, number 6, I need you to understand that the frontal lobe of the brain, this part, hence why it's called frontal, because it's in the front. This part of the brain is the last to develop fully, okay? And it doesn't even do so until the mid to late 20s. Well, why is this important, Dr. Brandy? I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you. The frontal lobe is the part of the brain that says yes, no, go, slow, stop, no, run, by, out of here. It's the frontal lobe. So all of your good decision making happens there. Your personality is also there, right? So if you sustain a frontal lobe head injury, your personality may change, okay? What else is there? Executive functioning is there, right? So the ability that if I've got to mop, sweep, and wipe the table. I've got to mop, sweep, and wipe the table. 3 things. Somebody may say, well, I don't know where to start. That's what happens with a person with ADHD, because guess what they may do first? They may mop first. Then they may sweep a wet floor, and then they may come all back and wipe the table off, right? So everybody on here say, well, that's silly. Who wouldn't wipe the table first, then sweep everything, and then mop? And mop there's really a 4th step, because you got to mop yourself out instead of mopping yourself in, right? These are the things, the executive functioning, the organization, the prioritizing that they may not get. Going back to my first example, you've got a chemistry test tomorrow, but you've got a calculus assignment due in 5 days, and you come home and do the calculus assignment. That is what I'm talking about when I say the organization, the executive functioning, planning, organizing, detailing out. So if the part of the brain that tells you to do all of those things is the last to develop, that means that in any adolescent child, early 20s, whatever, any of them are going to have all of these things delayed, which is why college students and young children tend to just do silly stuff on a regular basis. Now imagine that the child has ADHD. They are further disinhibited, which means the inhibitions are turned off. And so they are just living la vida loca freely and wildly. You think that they're having study sessions, but in fact, they're having party sessions, okay? So keep that in mind when sending your child off, because the truth of the matter is that everybody wants their child to go to college. Some children, however, just may not be able to handle all the responsibility that comes with being in college. Let's see. Dr. Leah says, I would definitely wipe the table last and would have never even thought about why it should be first. Wiping the table has last task energy. I like that. Thank you for being honest. Because in my mind, and in probably, y'all, we got 194 people on here today. I'm not sure what's going on. A lot of people whose names I've never seen before. But hopefully they're going to make me Facebook famous. I'll take it. In a good way, so yeah, the executive functioning, the organizing, the saying, do this, then this, right? That is definitely something that you're looking at. I'm like, why did they do that, right? Okay, so frontal lobe, number 6, the frontal lobe is the last part of the brain to develop, and it does not do so until the mid to late 20s. Sometimes I wonder if people's frontal lobes have ever developed because they're doing silly stuff still, all right? Number 7, treat other issues in situations like depression and anxiety. I know we've talked before about how ADHD can cause depression and anxiety, and then in some cases ADHD can coexist with anxiety and depression. So if you want your student to do well, you first need to be, make sure that you're treating their ADHD. Saying that you're not going to claim it is a recipe for it to claim your student. And that is not good. That is why they're going to be coming home. That is why they're going to be failing out. That is why you will be frustrated because you're not accepting, what it is that we're dealing with. So we've got to treat everything, the depression, the anxiety, the ADHD, any of it. Erica, my sister-in-law says, God forbid if they engage in drugs and alcohol during that development, a whole new problem. And in actuality, I just know so much. I try to contain myself so we don't end up on here for hours. But my sister-in-law, Erica, works in substance abuse and is an expert in that area. And she has been doing it many, many years. Yes, sir, I am married to the gentleman. He is among those that are these new names that I recognize, and there is one, Frederick Bowling, who is inquiring about my marital status, and yes, sir, I am married. All right, so yes, so let me just tell y'all this real quick about substance abuse, since my sister-in-law, who is a substance abuse expert, mentioned it. Okay, so we're about to get off track, but I'm gonna bring it back in. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Auntie Julia says, hey, very much happily, sir. Yes, very much happily married. So, substance use. Let me tell you about how substance use began. This is the history of ADHD, real quick. Kids get diagnosed at a young age. If they're boys, they're hyperactive. They're all over the place. They might be hitting people. It gets noticed. They get placed on medication. All right? At about 7th grade, they want to stop medication. Either they don't want to see me, their friends find out and start teasing them, or they just realize or think I can do it on my own. 7th grade, they stop medicine. 7th grade is also about the time that you decide as their parents, it's okay for me to let them go hang out with their friends. Not realizing that their friends' parents don't watch them like you watch yours, or they may even engage in things with them that you never would have thought they did. So that's, a note to self to inquire about what the parents are doing. So then they start dibbling and dabbling into stuff. First, a little marijuana. And let me tell you, marijuana calms that racing brain. It does. It calms that racing brain. But just like with doing anything, you never can do just a little. You always want to do a little bit more. You need to do more to feel the same effect. Eventually, your friend group may change because you may advance beyond that. Now you're into doing heavier stuff, right? And I never say just marijuana, because I can tell you that one of the places that I work is a substance abuse facility for adolescent girls 13 to 18 who have dual diagnoses. So they have a substance abuse problem as well as a mental illness diagnosis. And I'll tell you that marijuana is the most common things that young ladies are there for. We have them on all kinds of things, but marijuana is the one that is most commonly. You might say, well, what? It's just marijuana. But these kids are smoking marijuana all day to the point that they're not going to school. What truancy is a parent problem. They come and arrest the parent, because if you can't make your kid go to school, that's a parent problem. They get into sexual activity and doing other things that they really feel like they can't control. And one of the biggest things that lets you know that a substance abuse problem or substance use disorder exists is when a person cannot stop. So they'll say, but I can stop anytime. But baby, you didn't. You failed 6 drug tests, and that's why your probation officer sent you here. You couldn't stop, all right? So they keep doing marijuana, and then they go on to other stuff. Then they find meth, and they find cocaine. And that is where, see, just as I am saying they find meth and cocaine, my sister-in-law types, marijuana is a gateway drug, okay? And there's a delay. So we didn't say that, there's a delay in what I see after you all type it. So then they start using those things, and they are much more addictive and much more potent than anything I could ever prescribe. But they function a lot of ways in the same way as the things that I prescribe. So whenever I see somebody on cocaine or meth, I always wonder, did this person have ADHD? And did they find that this was the treatment? They got back in school, they started doing their work, but because those street drugs are so potent and addictive, after a couple of weeks or so, they were gone. They were gone. Now, I've also heard, and my sister-in-law can help me with this, when I said it seems like some people never grow up or their frontal lobes never develop. I have heard that the age at which you start using drugs is just about the age of development where you will continue. So if that is the truth, and people are starting to use drugs anywhere between 7th grade and 12th grade or early 20s or whatever, then what that might mean is that we still have 60-year-olds walking around behaving as if they're 12 and 13. Isn't that wild? That is wild. And so you say this person still acts like a child. That's because their brain got stunted in some ways right there at childhood. So this is one of the reasons why I stress so much. Yep, so she says wherever you start using, you stop growing. This is one of the reasons that I stress so much for parents to treat their child's ADHD, because they will treat it. They will treat it themselves. They'll use marijuana to slow everything down, and heaven forbid they go on and get to cocaine or meth to treat it, but then they get hooked, and then it's a much bigger problem. So we digress there a little bit, but I'm glad that that came up, because that's often a huge topic and one that actually makes parents. So after the stigma of ADHD, period, then there comes, I don't want my child on anything that's going to make them addicted to it, So we really have to be educated about what the medications are and what they are not, so that we can feel comfortable and confident about moving forward. All right, so that was a lot for number 6, but the brain development. Hopefully you understand that that is key. And it is why adolescents in general do some of the things that they do, and also why people who have ADHD do even wilder things. So if your child is out there just wilding out, I really want you to strongly consider ADHD, right? And a lot of people say it's overdiagnosed. It absolutely is not. It is still very much underdiagnosed, and it's certainly undertreated. All right, number 7. We said treat other issues like depression and anxiety. Number 8, be patient and expect setbacks and failures when you're dealing with a child with ADHD. That really should be the case with any child. You've got to be patient. They're not perfect, neither are you. So don't forget that. They're not robots. They're not you. They're not going to do things the way that you did it. They're not going to even do things the way that you recommend that they do it, just because they are individuals. But I do want you to make sure you're giving the advice. That's what our job is as parents, to give the advice, to explain things, to talk to your kids, to give the rationale for why you're suggesting things. But then to be patient with them as they try to explore it. Think about your 10-year-olds. Double digits, that means something. Well, in actuality, it really doesn't, right? 13 years old, that means something. Well, in actuality, it really doesn't, right? 16 years old. You know, all of these milestones, you're still kind of caught in the middle. Even in college, am I an adult or am I not? I'm an adult who still has to ask my parents for everything. I was so confused in college that when all of my friends were going on trips on spring break, I just came home. I didn't know, do I need to ask them? Can I tell them I'm going somewhere? But if I tell them, am I really asking them, can I go? I just came home. I never went on a spring break trip. Now, I'm a different type of student and a different type of daughter. You may not have the type of daughter that I was. So be patient with them as they try to figure it out, and honestly, as you're trying to figure it out as well. And expect some of those setbacks, expect some failures, especially if they are not treating their ADHD. There are going to be some failures. There are going to be some extended times to do some things. Because remember, ADHD is not about the product, it's about the process. And I'm glad you're asking yourself, because I can hear you, what does that mean? It means that they will graduate college if they really want to. They will pass the test if they really want to. They can figure out which order to do, wipe the table, sweep the floor, mop the floor, if they really want to. But it's not gonna come all the time without a process of doing it over, failing, doing it over. And the process is a problem because they don't know the order. They lack the ability to get things in order. Product, clean floor. Process, starting over, redoing work. Because who wants to mop? Then you got to let it dry, come in, wipe the table, sweep. If you had just done it, table, sweep, mop, it would have been done. So college may take these people. I have a patient who's been in junior college 7 years. 7 years in junior college. And we won't finish at the end of this year. But we're on track because I think this student now realizes, whoa, I got to take this medicine. I got to be honest with my doctor. I've got to give good reports. I've got to stay on top of things. And this was also a case of, I don't think anybody was helping this student with their schedule. And so if planning is a problem for you, you're not able to look at the courses offered and see which ones you need to take now in the fall versus in the spring. Because there may be 2 courses that you lack in order to graduate. One of them is offered in the spring, one of them is offered in the fall. But if you mess around and don't take the one last spring and then the fall one now, you end up waiting a whole year for that to come around. But we as parents, we may be able to say, hey, you need to do this now, or a counselor, all right? So, 10 steps to help your student with ADHD get organized. Or just 10 steps to help you manage having a child in college with ADHD. Number 1, realize that ADHD has no age. Number 2, help them with making their schedule. Number 3, realize that tutoring can be helpful, but tutoring is not the answer for ADHD alone. Tutoring helps you understand. Tutoring does not necessarily help you get organized. If you've got a good tutor, they may, but they're not going to come to your house and help you set out a schedule and create a safe scheduling and studying place. Number 4, therapy can help with executive functioning. Number 5, disability services on campus are clutch. Make sure you do that. Number 6, remember that the frontal lobe, it does not develop until the mid-20s. So children are going to do wild stuff. And even in kids with ADHD, that part of the brain is even farther behind. So they have no inhibition. So they're just doing wild stuff. Number 7, treat other issues that come along with ADHD or just come along in general with being a human. So like anxiety, depression, any learning disabilities, anything like that. Number 8, be patient and expect setbacks and failures. Let's see what we got here. Miss Paula Moore says, took me 7 years to graduate. Took me 7 years to graduate from college, including flunking out 1 year. Yes, I was on my own without a counselor to give guidance on planning courses until last year. So see what I'm saying, guys? I'm not making this up. And if Miss Paula Moore, if I know you, I'm sorry. I don't recognize the name. You don't have a picture. This is real life, guys. And I don't have to know Miss Paula Moore. For every Paula Moore that's out here, there are at least 1 million other people who are just like her. And I don't have to meet them to know their story. If you tell me you have ADHD, I can tell you 8 out of 10 symptoms that you're having just because I know how ADHD looks, okay? Number 9, help them get organized and remember things. Now, somebody might say, Dr. Brandy B, I ain't with you on this. I don't agree. I don't care. Yes, Fred Bowling, the whole city of Birmingham needs to hear this episode. Miss Paula Moore says she was diagnosed at 48 years old. Now, this is where y'all probably gonna say, I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. Let me tell you something. This 18-year-old or 17-year-old, if they're like me, you're sending them off. You're sending them off whether you're sending them 10 miles away or 100 miles away or 1,000 miles away. You've sent them off. And if you are really honest with yourself, we as parents, and I love the fact that in my seasoning, because I'm not seasoned, I'm still growing, but in my seasoning part of my career, I still am at a point where I have young kids. So as I'm getting even better, can you imagine that I'm getting even better in my career? And I still have young kids, right? So this is amazing. So as parents, we minimize things all the time. We minimize things that we do for our kids. We minimize their severity, the severity of their illnesses. We minimize all kinds of stuff. Because who in the world dreamed that they would have a child who had a special need? Not me. I prayed for God to give me exactly what I got when it comes to kids, right? But there's always this other thing that you didn't think about. I knew some things that I was like, don't let them have this, don't let them have this, right? Okay, but here's the deal. We have kids who have these issues. We do things for them without thinking. All the time, people will be in my office and I'll say, hey, let the child complete the sentence. I'll say, how was your day today? Oh, he had a good day. Okay, we do that and we don't realize it. And then we send them off to college and they are not prepared. Because if I say, well, son, is your room disorganized? Oh, he keeps his room clean. So then I have to say, mama, do you clean his room or does he keep his room clean? And then in turn, I find out mama is actually cleaning the room. Mama's actually cleaning the room. Okay, so then we send this kid off to school. They don't know how to clean a room for real. Heaven forbid they don't know whether to wipe the table, sweep the floor, or mop first. They don't know whether to study chemistry or calculus first, even though the chemistry test is tomorrow. So what I want you to do is to continue to keep that same energy, as they say. Keep that same energy. Had a mom last night. She's got a sophomore in college. She said, I call him and I wake him up. And I call him and ask him, did you take your medicine? She says, but I feel bad. Should I? I said, did you do it for him when he was in school, at home with you? She said, I did. I said, well, keep it now. Because here's the deal. They will graduate college. And at that point, the biggest battle will be over. If your goal is to get them out of college, keep the same energy you had to get them to college. You were doing some things that probably other parents may not have been doing. You didn't even think about it. You did it without flinching. So keep that same energy until you get them out. Now, when they get out, they will have figured some things out just because they had to. If you're not living with them, there are some things that they're going to have to remember. Forget the trash if you want to. And trash day comes and you got stinky trash in your house. You won't do that many more times because then you got to either put the trash in your car or do something else. So life is going to teach them some things, but some of the other things, I say do it. Now, maybe I give a little bit too much credit to ADHD, but do it. Do it for your child. Do it. Fake it until they are able to fly on their own. How long will you do it? I know you're thinking, well, how long am I supposed to do that? At least till they get out of college or until they figure it out. When they get out of college, they'll have a job. And now you're not going to be able to do their job for them. But if you've walked through them, set your alarm, do this, do that. Because remember, you did not teach them this while they were at home. If you start now, while your kids are at home, setting the alarm for them so that they are used to getting up to an alarm, right? Helping them put out food, and then they can warm it up themselves. Any of that stuff is setting them up to be able to succeed in college. But do not, this is my personal opinion, right? Do not set them up for failure by telling them you're on your own now, but you never gave them, you taught them how to bathe. You didn't just put them in water and say, that's it, figure it out. You taught them how to lather up the soap on the washcloth. You taught them how to get the water off, the soap off by rinsing, but you didn't teach them how to clean up their room. You just did it. So now when they're trying to figure it out, plus manage 3 chapters in a class, plus manage going to the party, plus manage working out, plus manage a job, plus manage a nap. So you got to help them. You got to help them. You got to extend them some grace and help them navigate it, manage it, and figure it out. All right. And then lastly, realize that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. It will be over. When will it be over? College will be over, hopefully, in 4 to 6 years, right? Because I've heard several people say college really isn't meant to be done in 4 years anymore. I don't know the statistics on that. I don't keep up with that. But I do know that this too shall pass. College will be over. They'll leave college. And by that time, look at what Miss Paula Moore says. She says, yes, I got tired of locking myself out of the house. I got tired of speeding tickets. I got tired of car accidents. I had to figure it out. And thank you so much for sharing. Because listen, I can't tell you all enough how speeding tickets can be an act of impulsivity. Speeding can be an act of impulsivity. Motor vehicle accidents can be an act of impulsivity. You see the light is yellow and it's like, boom, go for it. But you didn't time it right. Your light was closer to red than it was to yellow. So that means the other people's light was green and you hit them. Oh, and she says car accident. See? Locking yourself out, forgetfulness, right? All of that. So let's just go over real quick what the symptoms of ADHD are. You got your inattentive symptoms, losing things, forgetting things, being easily distracted, procrastinating, rushing, making careless mistakes, not paying attention to detail, not responding when your name is called. All right? You're hyperactive, impulsive, being talkative, being loud, blurting, interrupting, not waiting one's turn, not completing one task before starting another, fidgeting, acting as if always on the go or driven by a motor. And so, of course, at 30 or at 20, you're not all over the place. But what can happen socially? You're finishing people's sentences. Your idea comes up and boom, you start talking while someone else is talking. So your friends might be like, he's rude. I'll never forget a friend of mine posted on Facebook, what's up with all these rude people that just blurt out when you're talking? I said, they need to come and see me, right? But people don't understand that. People's understanding of ADHD is that it is a child who is always in motion, when in fact, we know that it is anything but that when a child is older than 6. And again, ADHD looks different in everybody. And it also changes over time. So many of you on this call, you might be fidgety, you might be drumming, you might be chewing on something, but you're not on the floor rolling around, right? So it looks different. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. 10 things you need to know about the college student. And I just really want you all to understand ADHD, the people cannot help whatever they're doing. They cannot help it. You have to help them. This is a disorder where, yes, therapy can help, but you need medication treatment. I don't know how to make that any clearer. People don't want to hear that, but the truth of the matter is that the quicker we can do that, and I've been really troubled and bothered by the fact that our students are not doing well in school. We have so many kids that have so many issues going on, and parents just simply are in denial or they are selfish. And I don't know which is which, and sometimes it probably overlaps. But if you know that there's a medical condition that your child has and you won't treat them because of your own beliefs or concerns about what others will say, I say that that is selfish. Your kids are suffering from a behavioral standpoint. They're suffering because they know that they are performing as well as their peers. ADHD is a very, it's not a great thing to live with. Now, on the flip side, for those creative minds or for those people who work in high energy professions, and who just naturally understand and get their work, ADHD can be amazing. But for a kid who has to go to school, and as it is now, after about 3rd or 4th grade, I don't know that many of your Montessori schools go past that. Montessori, they allow you to kind of walk around, be a free learner, explore. After that, it's traditional sit down in a desk for several hours a day. And unless you're going to start homeschooling your kids, I don't know how that's going to work out. And I'm not homeschooling mine. I mean, as smart as I am, I don't want that challenge. I don't want that task. Let them go somewhere, and as they say, let somebody else do it. But I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Thank you all for coming. I'm Dr. Brandy B., your triple board certified pediatrician, adult psychiatrist, and child and adolescent psychiatrist. Author of the best-selling book, Shine, Understanding ADHD So Your Child Can Be a Star. And also, I am host of Focus on It Friday, which is right here where you are. Every Friday at about 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, I do what I can to bring awareness and education on the topic of ADHD and other mental illnesses so that people can be up to date, be informed, and can make better decisions to help our children. Thank you, Mr. Fred Bowler, for joining. He says, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for everybody else for joining. We had record numbers today. Please share the video. There may be others who want to hear it. Yes, my Aunt Eva says awesome information. She's got granddaughters in college. They are doing very well. Super proud of them. And if y'all need anything, give me a ring and let me know. I will see you all next week when you do a great job. Thank you, Sis Erica. We do what we can to try to, again, help people get educated, because there is nothing like having education. And so the more of it that we can have, the better we'll all be. All right, I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much, Ms. Paula Moore, for your contributions today. Again, I don't have ADHD, so I don't know what it is like to live with it. I have decided on the topic of my next book, though. I'm very excited about that. I just got to find some time to write it. So y'all pray for me on that. But yeah, I don't have ADHD, so it's your input that, my education is one thing, but actually hearing from people who live with it is what people need to hear. So if we can get more people to say, yes, I have it, and this is how it impacts me, that would be so much better. I will write it for you. Oh, Dr. Leah. Oh, Dr. Leah. Are you interested in buying some ADHD books or having the doctor speak? If not, you do not need to concern yourself with where she is. Yes, that is some good information from Mr. Frederick Bowling. I did not answer that question because it is not important. My sister Priscilla is clapping. Thank you for joining, guys. All right, well, I will see you all next week. Y'all have a good one. Bye. Yes, Maximum Worldwide, biggest best-selling author. I love all of it. Yes. Bye, guys. Y'all be safe. Enjoy this cool weather. Don't get sick. Bye.